DIY or Die, Walker Vapor Group LLC, or any of its associates do not condone nor encourage the use of nicotine, vapor products, or any mood-altering substances
DIY or
without the
Die,
explicit
Walker Vapor
consent
Group
of a
LLC.
physician. The content viewable on this channel is strictly for entertainment purposes only and not meant to be seen as informational or educational. Must be 21 years or older to view these materials.
Silky beat. Hello, mixers. Welcome back to another episode of the MIXINVIXENS. I'm mlNikon. And say hello to my other beautiful mixins. We've got JJ.
Good evening.
We've got Leilani.
Hello.
We have Jen, the JennJarvis.
Hey guys.
We've got exclusivegirl.
Hey, how's it going?
And we've got RinVapes.
Hi. We also have a special guest today. Her name is Loonicorn. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. She's going to be hanging out with us for a little bit and just talking about herself and whatnot.
Hi, Looney. So glad to have you on.
Hello, so glad to be on. Thanks for having me. And Loonicorn is correct, but everybody calls me Looney, so how's everybody tonight?
We're doing
we left the camera on. We're so mean. She's a guest and we let her talk and then we left it on her. We're doing good. We're doing good. How's everybody's week gone so far?
Good, waiting for my voice to come back all the way, but yeah, good week so far.
What happened to your voice?
I don't know, it just disappeared on Thursday, but right before a stopgap, all of a sudden my voice just started going and it hasn't come back yet.
But it sounds cute.
Yeah, it's all like raspy and sexy or something.
What have you been doing this week, Nirin? Anything new? Been on any shows this week that I missed?
No. I'm on my maximum of shows. I try not to do more than 2 because I just get burnout on them.
Got it. Emily, did you enjoy that RY4 episode Monday?
Yeah, it was all right. It wasn't bad. I only have a couple RY4s, so I didn't have to test a whole bunch. And so it wasn't that bad. And I like Soho. I don't care what you all say. It's it's a tobacco, gosh darn it.
We thoroughly enjoy making fun of you at that 1%.
Yeah, I can tell. Has anyone been mixing up anything fun or good for anything else, just for funs?
I mean, I only just finished unpacking all of my flavors this week, so I haven't gotten to work on anything exciting, unfortunately.
No excuses.
I mean, I actually I have to get more of the 5-tier nail polish racks. I've got room for like 3 more of them over there, and I'm going to transfer all the stuff that's on the wall-mounted racks to the 5-tier ones because I'm not going to try to put holes in the plaster.
Yeah, that's good. I love a good organized setup because it just makes mixing just so much quick and easier.
I thought you were going to say something else. I like a good rack.
That too.
She couldn't just let that ride. She had to say, yeah, that's it. With her little innocent, yeah, that's it.
She was talking about racks, and then like it was like the segue. Like I don't know.
Loonicorn, how long have you been mixing?
I started mixing about a year ago. It was June of last year, so not that long. And as you know from Noted, in my year long, my first single flavor tests were done on Noted because I'm really lazy about single flavor testing, mostly because I hate RDAs. So even though I've been mixing for a year, I'm still like really noobish because I don't have that foundation that, you know, regular mixers get from the single flavor. I just wing it and start throwing stuff together and see if it works. And I do a lot of research on other people's reviews. So a year, but I'm still like totally a noob. I might as well have been mixing for 2 or 3 months. So yeah.
That's cool. You know, a lot of people, they do that. They read flavor reviews or they watch Noted and they just throw stuff together and just kind of willy-nilly, you know, tons of people do that and there's nothing wrong with that.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
The mad scientist method, you know?
Well, not just that. I think that from failure comes experience. So sometimes when you throw 2 flavors together, you definitely know these 2 aren't going to work. And you know, single flavor testing is important to get to know your flavors. You know, I've been mixing for a long time. And when I first started mixing, we didn't use to single flavor test that much. Actually, that's a lie. We did because we were vaping single flavors. But
Yeah.
but mixing them together didn't translate well sometimes. And we went through the muting stage because back then we were mixing at 18, 20%, a lot of stuff. And, you know, trying to figure out why our stuff didn't taste like anything is how we learned to blend flavors. So, you know, there's a lot to be said for people who just put things together and it works well. And there's a lot to be said for, I still recommend single flavor testing, but it's not my, if I single tested flavor, every single flavor I get the whim of buying, I'd be insane. I do that right before I mix them. I do it by
That's why
scent.
Chiba and Dave and I are insane.
You guys are insane.
Nuts.
I'm a scent person, so I smell it and I can almost tell by the distance that I need to smell. You know, and I'm right here at the nose and I decide, you know, where it's a mad scientist thing for me too, where it should be based on where the bottle falls. You know what I mean? How strong it is from here, from far away.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Sure.
That's
I do the exact same thing.
I use scents as well. And I think, you know, I've definitely improved in that time. And it's not that, you know, I've seen no growth, but I just think that if I did single flavor test, that then I would really see a huge upward swing in my growth as a mixer.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that it's acceptable and that a lot of people do it like you do.
For sure. Absolutely. So how long have you been vaping before you started getting into mixing, and what got you into mixing?
Well, let's see. I kind of stopped and started vaping for a couple of years. And then I actually gave up cigarettes and started vaping full time last April. So I wasn't vaping regularly very long before I quickly saw how much money it was going to save me. And that's the whole reason that I got into mixing, was just purely from a practical standpoint. I wanted to save money. But there's, you know, sometimes something will grab me and I'll get kind of, I don't want to say obsessed, but that's probably an accurate term. And that's kind of what happened with vaping. Was it became, or with mixing, it became a hobby. It became more than, because I'm not saving money now. I'm like sending out all these huge flavor orders to, you know, there's no saving money here.
You know, I think Wayne was talking about that on one of his either in the mix or live mixing, about how a lot of us are like serial hobbyists. You know, you get into something and you just dive head first and you just get into it hard.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. So now I'm just having fun with it. And I don't know if it will eventually turn into something that I want to do to make a little bit of extra money, or maybe I'll want to do it just to pay for the hobby. It's something I'm considering, but it's not something that I'm, at this point, I still just consider myself a hobbyist and having fun. And maybe someday I'll go pro, but I'm not anywhere near there yet. So.
Sure. Awesome. So, can you tell me of all, I know you have a handful of mixes published. of all of them, what is the one that you're the most proud of?
Man, that's a hard question. And a lot of my recipes are not public. I use, it's just called Juice Calculator, and it's not an online, it's a really complicated, and it was kind of a weird program to, as a beginning mixer to use. It's something that usually someone that's been doing it for a while uses. So all of my recipes, like I don't release all of them, and I'm lazy about putting them up on ATF, and I never think that anything is finished. So
yeah.
That's why and really the only reasons the ones that are up on ATF are there is because they're recipes that I've like discussed with Dave. Like we discussed my ginger recipes on Noted the week before last or last week. So I guess right now, as far as what's on ATF that I'm the most proud of is probably the Soul Sucker. That one's really good, and it's just interesting and different, and it's unlike anything, but without being like weird and funky. Like, oh, you know, sometimes weird means funky and kind of off-putting, and you wouldn't really want to vape this every day. But that one in particular, it's weird in a really good way. So I have others that I might prefer that are not public yet. So
yeah, this sure looks interesting. I never would have thought to combine ginger with lavender in like a lemonade gin type, mix. So it looks really interesting.
Yeah, I never would have thought of it on my own. I actually based it off of a cocktail recipe that I found. And I thought that sounds really interesting. And, I love ginger. So anything that had ginger, and I'm like, ginger and lavender, really? And tried it out, and it just turned out really amazing. It's very tasty.
Awesome. Well, it looks good. We were taking bets before you joined us on if you use some kind of gingerbread in your Blondie recipe.
I did not. I thought about it. I thought when I was first brainstorming, but I also didn't know that I was going to wait till the night before to make up. It ended up being one of those weeks where, oh yeah, I have all the time in the world, and stuff just kept coming up. You know how that happens sometimes? And then the next thing you know, it's like, oh my God, it's midnight on Saturday night. I better do something. So had I actually had the time that I intended to put into it, that would have been a consideration for sure.
All right. Well, speaking of the recipe that we did for this week, let's get into it, girls. What do you think? Let's talk about, first of all, the picture is up. Thank you, James. What do you guys see when you see this picture? What does it look like? Like, how do you guys take it?
I totally see ice cream first. It's screaming at me. I see the drizzle. Well, actually, I must not have looked at the recipe very close because to me, it looked like a cookie cake with the ice cream on top. But then as I got closer, like when you guys posted the picture today, I was like, well, maybe it's a little thicker than I thought. But still, that's irrelevant. I saw a cookie cake, so it was kind of thin.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. A cookie cake with the ice cream on top and, some drizzle stuff.
Very cool.
I'm definitely seeing like a Blondie and like the drizzle looks like it's like some sort of like a thick, either like maple syrup or caramel or something along those lines with like a scoop of ice cream and some walnuts. I didn't have any walnut flavors, so I kind of did some substituting on that to like make it work. But yeah, it's definitely like a Blondie with ice cream. Delicious.
Yeah, I did that, saw that too. Of course, I've never had a Blondie in real life. It's brownie or GTFO for me. But anyway, what stood out to me was the nuts. I wanted the nuts to be like a prominent in my mix. Oh, Leilani.
What? No, I'm just saying. Continue.
That was
like
it.
nuts?
Big nuts, small nuts.
Walnuts.
Gotta have nuts.
Textured.
So it's confirmed. I like big racks and nuts on my Blondie. Yep. Anyway.
Sorry. I had to take it.
Oh, jeez.
I'm going on mute.
Just for that, Leilani, you're going first.
Ow! Well, go ahead. I'm listening. Well, I saw definitely a Blondie with all that like caramel drizzle and nuts and a big like hopping, whooping, decadent scoop of like some sort of ice cream on top. And that's it. And I was like, okay, let's do this. So I don't know. Ren, what did you see? Wait, am I talking about my recipe?
Huh?
Am I talking about my recipe now?
We'll let Ren answer, then we'll talk about your recipe.
Okay, go ahead, Ren.
All right, so I saw nuts. Very sweet nuts. And they're kind of big. And then a lot of cream, a lot of gooiness, like butterscotch or caramel, something like that. It looks too light to be maybe caramel. I don't know. I guess it could be either. But yeah, it definitely looks like a Blondie to me. And I'm on the same train of thought where it needs to be a brownie. Like, what is this Blondie stuff? Like, no.
Exactly. Come on.
Give me chocolate.
Put some chocolate in that mofo.
I don't even know what a Blondie is. I'm gonna have to Google that.
It's like a cookie cake, like you said, you know, like it's like a, I don't know, a little denser than yellow cake, but like thicker than a cookie. It's like,
I'm so glad I went with that then.
yeah.
I actually did.
You done good.
Just to make sure that I was thinking of it correctly. And it's basically a brownie, but instead of chocolate, it's like a really heavy brown sugar is used to get brown sugar, and butter is the main flavor that comes through. So yeah, it's just a brownie without chocolate, kind of.
So a brownie, only instead of cocoa powder, you use brown sugar.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I might have nailed that one then on accident.
Nice. Okay, Leilani, why don't you tell us about your recipe?
Okay. So, well, on top of the substitution of like brown sugar, they also add like vanilla. There's no cocoa in it. So that's the difference between like a Blondie and a brownie. So what I wanted to do, oh God, it was so hard. This thing was difficult. I'm telling you. That picture, okay, I digress. Anyway, I wrote like a summary, a story like usual. And I'm going to try to stick with it because there's a good amount of ingredients in here, but they work well together. So I decided to make a buttery graham cracker coated Blondie with a rich white chocolate, sprinkled with warm roasted pecans and finished with a dollop of vanilla ice cream. Now I'm going to tell you people something. I had 3 walnut flavors. None of them were good enough. None of them tasted, all of them had like a tannin, like that, like tart, sharp, nutty type of flavor, but it wasn't, I guess, creamy enough. They weren't roasted, they were more raw. So I decided to go with a pecan instead to help kind of bolster that nuttiness that I wanted, and that was in the picture. So I'm gonna put that right up in there. So the first thing that I wanted people to taste up top was white chocolate. I have about 6 white chocolates, but I only tested 3 out of them because I started testing the VTA Love. Somebody had recommended it to me, and that, oh my, people, I'm telling you right now, Love is very, very good. It's a light white chocolate, but it doesn't have any of that cocoa, like chocolate notes that some of the other white chocolates try to pass off like as white chocolate. I don't know why they do that madness, but anyway. So I use Love VTA, which is like a creamy milk combined with like hints of white chocolate and vanilla, along with Delossi white chocolate. I had VTA white chocolate, but one of the things with the VTA white chocolate is that it's a little bit lighter and thinner. They don't call it a base for nothing, like a base for your white chocolate mixes. And I also noticed a slight kind of plastic type of note with it. So, but I don't get that with Delosi's white chocolate. Delosi's white chocolate is a nice base white chocolate for me. It's light, it's creamy, and it's very mellow. So it helps bolster the love. Okay, anyway, let's press on. What else did I do? Oh, and then at the very top, so you're going to get white chocolate, and you're also going to get the roasted pecans and cream. And they're like best friends in this recipe. You both taste them at the top, and that creamy, nutty aroma really helps to bring in the toasted notes at the base while standing by itself as like a nut flavor. So let's go down to the base. At the base, I added yellow cake, golden butter, and Graham Health Cabin. If y'all haven't tried Graham Health Cabin, that thing is the best graham cracker type of flavor that I've ever had. It is so, I hype things up. I don't care.
How does it compare to Flavor West graham cracker? Because like to me, like that's the essence of graham crackers, Flavor West.
Flavor West graham cracker. I've had graham cracker clear, but I don't think I've had flavor. What does Flavor West taste like? And I'll go with my head.
It just tastes like a honey graham cracker. Like, you know how graham cracker clear is just kind of like a generic malty crispiness?
Yeah.
Where Flavor West graham cracker is like, to me, like the flavor of a honey graham cracker.
No, I haven't tried that one. Then I gotta try. Darn it! Then I have to try. But the Graham, compared to that, then the Graham Health Cabin is a slightly like fried graham cracker. Like there's a bit of that kind of like donut fried note to it, but it's a healthy, dense graham cracker. Like somebody, like, you know how graham crackers come like that thin? This graham cracker's like that thick, like my eyebrows. Okay? It's a thick graham cracker. It's grainy, and it has that texture and that weight that I needed to add to the base without having to add anything else. So that's why I added that. Let's see. And then I also added butter, because as usual, I love butter. And then caramel original. Now, caramel original, people either like it or they hate it, but I like it because it doesn't taste like straight up cyclotine. You understand what I'm saying? That burnt caramel toasted note, like
that burnt sugar note. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's like the caramel candy, I think it is. And then the other like toffee, like even the toffee VTA and the toffee ice cream VTA, they all have that sharp cyclotine note that I can't, and I'm sorry, people, I can't like stand it when it's too strong. Even though it can go into a mix and probably mellow out, like if I smell it right away, I start getting a tick. So this caramel original, don't laugh at me, Ren.
Is it like the potpourri again?
It's like burnt sugar potpourri to me. But this caramel, I am triggered, man. The caramel original is a nice like caramel, like a working caramel. Like you can work it into a mix, and it has like brown sugar notes. It has a nice caramel taste, and it also have like hints of maple, which is nice, but very light. People use it stronger, but in this mix, I didn't want it to stand out too up front. So I let it fall back and kind of used it as a binder. And then the very last ingredient is the vanilla ice cream blend 3. And I like that one because the problem is this recipe is really, really layered. There's a lot of things going on. People have, up to 10 ingredients. I was spying at all y'all, like, what y'all got? What do you have? 3 ingredients? You got 6? I was like, I got 7, I think. But the thing is, with that ice cream, I didn't want that ice cream to melt in the back, but I also wanted to stand out and to help the recipe. So vanilla ice cream blend 3 is nice because it's almost like a milky, marshmallowy, fluffy type of ice cream to me. So that kind of rounds out some of the the spots where I feel the white chocolate could be a little bit fuller. And it also adds that ice cream note that I wanted. And everything blends together well without anything being muddled. So that was nice. And that's the end of my recipe. The end. Thank you. Bye.
I love the way you use the caramel original. Not too many people use that anymore. And
Why?
Because of the sugar in it, but
Oh,
That's my second favorite caramel.
it is one of my favorites too.
It's just so rich and like
yeah.
I like that one, and I like the graham cracker crust, the original as well, the brown one. Oh,
I never had that one.
But I mean, I don't use it publicly anymore either.
Well, I don't mind. I didn't use it too high in this. I only used it at 0.5%, enough to get that caramel syrupy accent without like, you know, kind of taking over. It's just to kind of just decorate the top.
Oh, you got to figure out 0.5% in a mix compared to the little bit of that it has in there. It's probably minute. Just, I'm afraid other people will go crazy and go buy a 4 ounce of it.
Oh my God, I hope not. No, it's just an accent, a binder, just to kind of,
it's delicious.
It's really, really good. I just
delicious.
didn't want to use too much of it. And it's good for what it does in this recipe. I could have took it higher. I could have took it to 1 or 2%, but I didn't want it to be like drenched in caramel. Even though it's kind of in the picture, I didn't, for my recipe, because I'm vaping this thing, I only want a little bit. So
I mean, that recipe looks fantastic. I like it.
No, thank you.
I like it. And it's got a lot of flavors in it. So I'm so happy.
She's not the only one. I really need to get that Health Cabin Graham now.
Oh, girl, you better get it. One thing, great. I'm gonna tell y'all people now. If y'all have been getting Health Cabin, they're starting to, and this is not public, but it should be. So this is a hint. Health Cabin took all their flavors off of their website. They brought them back, I think, last week, but not all of them will be the same. 80%. I think Health Cabin.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know. They have a source, just like a lot of different manufacturers. They have different sources. Now, you can write to them and ask them, and they'll send you samples. So
did they mess our egg roll?
Oh God, I hope not. I didn't see, when I looked at the website 3 days ago, I didn't see egg roll on there, but they might have it. I know there's some staples in my stash that I need to know, but if you write to them and you ask them, hey, which ones did you change? I think they'll tell you, and if not, they're going to give you a sample flavor.
So they just did a whole bunch at once. So now, like starting now, if we start getting Health Cabin, they should all be the same, right?
Yes. Yes.
I think that's how it should be. If a company is going to change their reformulate, don't do them one at a time. Like
they took everything.
Nowera does.
No.
Fix what you're going to fix and let us have doable recipes, you know?
And it's not like you had to like ask around and like tiptoe, like go through the tea and go through the gigs with everybody and be like, yo, did you hear that? Did they do this? Da, da, da? No, you just write to them and ask them. And they were like, yes, we did. So this is what happened. And I was like,
that's good. And hopefully they're done and we can move on, because I noticed that DIY Vapor Supply, they have both Delosi and Health Cabin. Like,
yes. I believe the stock at Health Cabin, or not Health Cabin, DIY Vapor Supply, they're the same. They're the ones that I have and that everybody else should have. Now, when they start releasing the reformulated ones, that like the 10 or 20% they reformulated, they'll let people know. So that's my only disclosure with that graham cracker, but it should be okay.
So in other words, the disclosure is buy it from DIY Vapor Supply while they have
exactly. Okay.
Yeah, sweet.
Okay, I'm done.
Because I only have a few, like a handful of Health Cabin flavors, and I've liked the ones I've tried so far, but they're so underrated. Not many people use them.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of people are willing to test them. That's the reason. Just
Yeah.
like any new company. Like if there's no notes, nobody wants to buy, nobody wants to try. It's like go with what people have talked about already. I'm willing to try because I like to get stuff that other people don't get.
Yeah, I'm totally getting that white chocolate because I'm constantly on the hunt for a good white chocolate.
Well, Leilani is our resident tester. She will buy some stuff we've never heard of
I will
before.
find it. But yeah, it's good. The Delosi's good. It's mellow.
I think that another deterring factor is that aren't they made in China?
Yes, they are made in China. I believe the source is Magical Flower for the health cabinet. But then there are other manufacturers who are made from China that we like.
I just think that like decaying kind of got it, everyone thinking that, because I mean, they're not very good. So people associate the Chinese manufactured flavors as being bad, when in reality, there's a lot of good ones like Hangsen.
Hangsen's fantastic. FE, Flavor Express, or SC, Super Concentrates. Everybody gets those and nobody talks ish about those flavors.
Not yet.
Not yet. But yeah, Hangsen's really good. SC, FE, and there's one more.
I like Hangsen tobaccos and some of their creams. So yeah,
Their French vanilla ice cream is the bomb.
Oh, that is just
That's so good.
delectable.
Jen, I don't know if you remember this, but way back when in the beginning,
back when during the dinosaur stage,
when we had the cigalikes that we were getting from the gas stations and stuff like that.
Oh gosh, this is another one of those. I had to mix walking uphill both ways.
Well, that was
in the rain, in the snow.
The anti-China juice started. And all the stuff that we were getting here in the beginning was just Chinese juice. And it wasn't necessarily the Chinese flavors that were the issue. It was the juice that was coming in from China because it had metals, it had contaminants in it. They were testing this stuff in the beginning and they were like, this stuff is horrible.
Yeah.
So
and some of it was good, though. But some of it was good.
Some of it, like, Dokey didn't have bad tobacco to begin with. Their first tobaccos weren't bad. That's where DK Tab came from.
That's where 555 came from.
And then RY4 came out of it, and RY5 and RY3 and 2 and 1. Nobody ever talks about those first few, but RY4 is the most caramelly, I think, of all.
Yeah, and I think that RY Asian, RY Asian, is that what they call it? RY4 Asian. I think that's closer to the RY2.
Yeah.
So I mean.
But there wasn't anything wrong with the Chinese flavors. It just kind of that translated over into our DIY world where the people were like, let's not get Chinese flavors.
Yeah.
Because everything was kind of sketchy in the beginning, but we do have some good Chinese manufacturers. And
reputable too.
Yeah. What is the one that you were using, Leilani?
Delosi.
No.
Duome?
Yeah.
Duome. I know Dave is out there. I turned him on to that yellow mango. You love that, Dave, don't you? I ain't giving you no more.
I want to try that. I actually tried some yellow mango fresh. So I want to actually try the flavoring and see how closely it compares.
Do you want some?
Yeah.
I got to send some to Rin anyway, so.
I'd love some.
Taking my stash, taking my goods. They're not writing me back anymore.
I will send you something special too.
Oh yeah. I've got something I'm willing to trade too. I actually have some things in a bottle.
Everybody wants my mangoes.
No, she didn't go there.
I didn't go there.
Well, you keep bragging about them, so yeah.
It's the best mango Dave has ever had, right, Dave? I know that's right. Anyway, so let's press on. Who's next? Emily?
At once.
You want to talk about your nuts?
I'll go next. Okay, so I simplified my thing. I wanted the caramel and the white chocolate and the ice cream and all this, but I tried and it's hard to balance and not turn it into a muddled mess. So what I did is I simplified and I went with maple nut Blondie. And I had there ended up being like 2 versions that I really, really liked. I couldn't decide which one I did or which one I wanted. So I went with the simpler one, but I put notes in how to turn it into the other version. So if you want, like, this one is just maple sauce. If you want like a maple and a butterscotch sauce, it's really good. Just add 2% Flavor West butterscotch to it. But I used a 3% one-on-one golden sponge cake, 1% Wonder Flavors hazelnuts and cream, 1% Flavor Art maple, and then 0.25% Flavor Art nut mix. Because like I said, I wanted to accentuate the nuts. I wanted it a nutty maple blondie. But that's it. That's all I used, and it. I was really bummed out because like the first 4 days, it was like meh, like not good, not great, not bad. But then like after the 5th or 6th day, it just magically transformed and everything came together and it just was really good. So
That completely makes sense.
yeah, I've been vaping on it for like the past, well, I've been vaping on all week, but the past 2 or 3 days, 2 days especially, it's all I've been vaping. It was these maple nut blondies because they're so good.
And you've got flavor ADD, so that's saying something.
Yeah, exactly. I'm always, I probably vape like 5 or 6 flavors a day, but the last 2 days has been nothing but maple nut blondies. So that definitely says something. I used a 101 golden sponge cake as like the brownie part because it's like a good, for anyone who's interested, it's a good like Flavor West yellow cake replacement. It's cakey. And then the maple syrup and nut mix is self-explanatory. But I use the hazelnut and cream kind of for a little bit of the ice cream and just to wet and moisten up the cake so it's not so dry. Because with the nut mix and the sponge cake, it can get a little, a little dry. And I just needed a little something creamy in there. And now Wonder Flavors hazelnuts and cream is very similar to Flavor West hazelnut. You know how it's a creamy hazelnut flavor? Yep.
she just says, "Yep."
Now you said in the beginning, like the first couple days, it was meh. What do you think was the cause of that? Like what blossomed in the recipe for you that made it kind of just like stand out after 5 days?
That's funny you should mention that because I've been trying to figure out actually what it was. And normally when something is fresh, you have all the flavors like on top of each other and they're not blended. And then after it steeps, they're blended and all in one. This almost was the opposite. So when it was fresh, it was just a blob of these flavors and I didn't get anything standing out. I didn't get anything particularly good out of it. It was just okay. But then when it steeped, that's when I got the bakery from the sponge cake stood out, and I got that's when the maple really kind of made a name for itself. It's like when things started. Does that make sense? Like it's completely opposite of how I know steeping should work.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it makes sense because for sure maple and nut mix need time to steep. Mm-hmm. Both of those. In the beginning, they have off notes. I mean, that's why I hate it when people say if a recipe is not good when you first mix it, it's not going to turn good, because some recipes really do turn out really great with time.
Yeah, and so I did this recipe because the maple really stood out nicely. And it's not like maple syrup drizzling on it. It's like one of those, like a maple sauce over everything. But if you add that 2% butterscotch to it, it'll obviously diminish the maple some, but you do get both maple and a butterscotch sauce on it. And it's really good too. In fact, it's so good, I couldn't decide between the two, which is why I put it in the notes that if you like butterscotch, add that to it too, because it's really good as well. And then I used sweetener. I started leaving it out of my recipes and just putting in the notes as optional. I happen to use 1% E-cig sweetener, which is, I think that I'm pretty sure it's the same thing as Flavor West sweetener, like it's just sucralose. So, but it's good.
That looks good. And the Nut Mix FA, I did that as a single flavor, and it has hints of walnut in it, which is nice. And I think and I tasted almost like a raw almond in it, but it's a good balanced mix. I didn't get much peanut in there, but I think this Nut Mix FA would work really well, especially with that maple syrup in there.
Yeah, I used it for the harder walnut note that you get, because hazelnut, while it's a good nut, it was too soft to really stand out as a maple nut blondie. So I wanted the harder, like walnuts or pecan notes, or whatever that you get in Nut Mix, to kind of accentuate the nutty goodness.
And that Nut Mix is a little bit sharp too, so I could see that blossoming and helping out that hazelnut and cream. This is a smart mix.
I think so too. It's very well thought out.
Thank you.
Good job. Hating.
Especially for such few ingredients. I mean, it's very well thought out. Next. Awkward silence says it's time for the next one. I'll go ahead and
go next.
I'll go next since I said next.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and throw my 15 ingredient recipe up here. Let's see if it comes up. Let me pull it up.
A lot of load.
It's gonna break the internet.
Damn, we go from moist nuts to a load.
That's, by the way, that's what I was saying. Yup at Rin's comments.
I know. You said it right on time too.
Oh God, here we go.
Okay, so is my recipe up? Because now I pulled up my recipe on my site, so I can't see the.
Oh, you use sweet dough. I'm loving that. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna read my notes if I can, because sometimes I can't read my own notes because they're so long. So to me, this image shows a cookie cake with ice cream on top, a nice buttery, nutty, gooey topping. I use TFA graham cracker clear and sweet dough for my bakery component. The FA graham is very nice graham cracker. It's a cookie along the lines of animal crackers kind of graham cracker. It's not along the lines of the flat graham crackers that are more honey nut crackers. It has very little spice. I really don't find any spice in it, but I went ahead and put very little spice in my notes just in case other people find it. I don't find it. TFA graham cracker is a nice deep dark golden graham cracker, like the sweet and the sweet dough moistens it up because it's also a little bit dry, and it's not a full-on bakery. It's not as thick as Flavor West. It doesn't have enough honey notes, but it's deeper, and it's got some deeper, darker notes than Flavor West does, where Flavor West has more of the honey graham type notes in it. I build the ice cream notes out of the new FA vanilla ice cream with Cat Vanilla V1. Stay with me a minute because I know you're wondering why Cat V1 since it's so eggy. Well, I needed it to play in my mix for my drizzle. Just trust me, it works. FA maple syrup is the perfect maple for this. With all the heavy creams and the bakeries involved, it's strong enough to stand up with a little bit of seat, but at 0.5%, it folds into the body of the drizzle that is composed of Cat, buttercream, and Flavora butterscotch. I used FA pistachio for my nut because it isn't a pistachio that tastes like pudding. It's more like along the lines of a real pistachio nut with the oily aspect and the dryness of the real thing inside kind of thing. I use marzipan. Marzipan in this recipe does two things. It pops my nuts, but it also binds it's a binder and a separator. It separates the cookie from the ice cream, but at the same time, it pops my nuts.
You can't deny the nut popping
Crazy.
quality of marzipan. In fact, I used it in a couple of my versions. It's awesome. It pops nuts like no one's business.
I like to pop some nuts. Anyhow, that's it.
Ball buster.
Yeah, it is. This recipe is a
Marzipan
ball
the
buster.
ball buster.
So I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ingredients. And I'll have you know that I had another recipe up this morning before this one because one of my versions had 2 more ingredients. And I was like, okay, let me, they were both good. The other one I think is better, but better for me, but not necessarily what everybody else would consider better. So I picked this one for 2 reasons. First of all, I was able to eliminate 2 ingredients. Second of all, it's just as good. It's just a little different. Any questions? No, because there's too many darn ingredients, right?
I love that you went with almonds and pistachios for your nuts.
Yeah, I just
Awesome.
couldn't do walnuts, man.
Completely forgot about pistachio, man. That's a good nut.
And it's dry. You know, the flavor art one is realistic, so it's not like a pudding.
Yeah, it's not like TFA where it's like pistachio ice cream, right?
Yeah, no,
It's awesome.
It gives you the nutty, greasy notes.
Yeah. What I want to know is at 0.5% of FA maple syrup, how like detectable is that maple note? Like, do you get the maple from that?
Only on the exhale. And if you notice on my recipe, I did put 14 days steep because one thing about flavor art maple, it will continue to grow. It will grow and overpower your entire recipe within a month.
It is a grower, not a shower, for sure.
That's exactly right. So if you want to vape it when you like it, start at 2 weeks. Otherwise, you're gonna taste the maple. I mean, if you don't like maple, vape it within 2 weeks. If you want to taste the maple in the drizzle, vape it at the end of the month. It's fantastic. It'll be, I mean, that butterscotch, what it does is it blends into the butterscotch and the buttercream.
Buttery goodness.
Buttery goodness.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good.
The cake part is kind of low, but I mean, I meant it to be.
One thing I like about using marzipan, you know, that does make your nuts pop also, but like it lends a bright sweetness to the mix. You know,
so it doesn't need any sweeter.
Yeah.
And the maple is sweet. It sweetens up. Yeah. That's it. Who's next?
Good. I'll go. All right.
Get back to mine really quick. So I wanted to keep mine simpler, but then I just kept adding stuff. So I ended up with 6 items in it, and every single one of my flavors are from a different vendor. So kind of funny, but it all seemed to come together nicely. So for the Blondie portion, I used mainly Yellow Cake by Jungle Flavor plus Wonder Flavors White Fudge, because I wanted it to be like more of a white chocolate fudge sort of blondie. And then I backed it up with some banana nut bread. I kept the banana nut bread on the lower side. You can still kind of get a hint of the banana, but I really wanted it more for the nut and bready portion. I didn't really add anything else to like bring out a walnut flavor because I didn't like I only had like beer nuts and then one other nut flavor that wouldn't have worked very well. And I really didn't think to use. I considered using the honey roasted peanuts like after the show already started, but I might be able to do something with that at some point. But then for the ice cream portion and the drizzle on top, I did the usual vanilla ice cream by Liquid Barn because it's a great vanilla ice cream. You can't really go wrong with it. And I know exactly how it's going to turn out on that portion of it. And then for the drizzle, I did a combo of the maple bar by Flavora and then creme brulee by Inawera. The only change I might make to this is to actually drop the creme brulee by a little bit because it's coming out a lot more than I want it to. I want the maple portion to be a little bit more forward. But the maple bar and the white fudge and the creme brulee all act as enough sweetener that it's surprisingly a pretty sweet mix. And it doesn't seem like it would require any sweetener to it at all. But yeah, I considered taking out the banana nut bread, but I like it with it in there. It's kind of this weird element. It adds a nice bit of spices to it that I feel like it would be lacking without. And I feel like it just wouldn't be as flavorful. It's definitely a very flavorful mix, even though the percentages are kind of low on a lot of the stuff. And I'm hoping that as it steeps, it'll just be more of a cohesive because I haven't gotten to try it yet steeped. I've only really tried it fresh. And fresh, it's great. It's just the creams need to definitely come out more.
I can imagine that the white fudge and the creme brulee with the maple bar gives it that that texture that the thick, rich sauces have.
Mm-hmm.
Because maple bar isn't like a maple syrup. It's like a frosting on a maple donut.
Yeah.
And the creme brulee and the white fudge, I bet you get a really good saucy texture.
It does. It's got that portion of it is nice and thick. It's the creams that are thin until it steeps. But yeah, it definitely has this nice thick drizzle on it, which in the image that's in this, it's a really thick sauce that's on it. It's not a thin sauce or whatever. So you can see how sticky that sauce looks. The one thing that it really is lacking though, if you were to try to make the picture exactly, is the nuts. But it's there. It's slightly present. The nut from the banana nut bread is there. It's just it's on the lighter side. If I up it any further though, then the banana comes out too much, and I didn't want it to be so banana forward.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, how much of a banana did you get out of this mix?
Right now, there's a hint of it there. You can tell the banana nut bread is there, but it's not overpowering in the mix at all. It's this note that you get on the inhale. I don't really get it very much on the exhale, which is good.
I wonder if it'll fall back with steep.
I'm kind of hoping it might. It's good in there. It's not it's just kind of the banana is kind of an interesting note. It's almost like you decided to chop up some really aged bananas and threw them on top, but not
That
in a bad way.
Really good.
Yeah, it's good. It's not bad in there at all, but I do want it to kind of fall off a little bit.
Rin's the banana nut bread expert. Does the banana fade a little bit in banana nut bread, Rin?
Honestly, I don't think so, but I don't use it that low, so maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, if I were to change anything though, I'd probably drop the creme brulee down to 0.5 instead of 0.75, just so that it's not the first note you taste. I don't want it to be as forward. I'd rather that maple bar is more noticeable. I mean, they're both very present, but yeah, I want the maple bar to be the dominant of those two flavors. Yeah, it's I'm hoping though that after it steeps for 2 weeks or so, that it'll get added to my rotation. It's a pretty good one.
Nice. Thanks for sharing.
Any questions?
Yeah. One flavor is white fudge.
Mm-hmm.
I have not used that very much, if at all. How much of a white chocolate flavor do you get out of white fudge? Is it white chocolatey, or is it just more like the creamy type flavor?
Well, it's the white chocolate is definitely there. It's you've had the white chocolate fudge before, right?
Yes.
Just the actual fudge.
In real life?
Yeah. It smells like that. It's not quite as exact on the taste of it, but that's the smell that I get from it is it actually smells like white fudge, which is why I chose this. I considered using a white chocolate. And I mean, as you guys know, I have a lot of white chocolates from all the flavor testing I've done with the green tea Kit Kat one. But I went through and I smelled all my white chocolates that I have, and the white fudge just seemed like a better fit. It's definitely a white fudge and not a white chocolate though. It's definitely creamier, and it's not like it's not as caramely as some of the white chocolates that I have. Like if I were to compare it to like Flavor West white chocolate, like that one has a lot more caramel notes to it than the white fudge does. Like it's similar though in smell, just a little bit more fudgy. The only flavor that's in here though that I do want to warn about is the maple bar. Like Jarvis, like you'd probably smell it right away. But when I smell it, I definitely get like a acetone or alcohol kind of smell from it. So let it steep for sure, because you want that out of there before you start
astringent in the beginning.
Yeah. Like I'm not getting it too much with all the other flavors, but that flavor on its own, if you do single flavor testing with maple bar, let it sit. Don't bother with it until it's like sat for at least a day or two, for that to like kind of dissipate some.
Sweet. Awesome. Okay. Who's next? I guess Rin would be next.
Alrighty then. I think it's really interesting because I thought my mixture was pretty unique, but then I see several of you guys were on the same wavelength. So I don't know if we're rubbing off on each other or great minds think alike, but I also used VT Love merely because I thought it was perfect for this mixture, because you have the element of the ice cream as well as the white chocolate that's supposed to be in there somewhere. Mm-hmm. And Love is supposed to be a white chocolate with cream.
Oh, so, yeah, you're a bit of a white chocolate guru.
Huh?
You like working with white chocolate, right? You did a video with testing a bunch of white chocolates anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't mean I like it.
Oh, okay.
Most of them aren't that great, to be honest. There's a couple that are good, and most of them are just kind of meh. But this VT Love is very good. I think it's very unique. It just has a very unique taste to it. It's hard to describe what it really tastes like, but it's in there. I used it fairly low for some reason. I don't know if it's just the mixture of things or what, but I find it very pronounced amongst everything else. So I used it a little bit lower. It actually should say 1% or the DIY, the Love is. I don't know why I didn't update. Then I used the butter pecan from One on One because I didn't want to just do walnut, because similar to the other people, I have like an issue with walnut just by itself. So I wanted it to be like a mixture of nuts. Plus I figured the butter pecan or the butter note or whatever you want to call it would help with that sauce that's supposed to be there. Because I don't like maple, especially vaping maple. So I kind of wanted to make it like a version that I could tolerate, which is why I used the sweet dough. Because I remember when I vaped it, and for some reason I asked Leilani, but I have a hard time distinguishing the difference between brown sugar and maple when I'm vaping it for some reason. Like they seem kind of very similar.
Because they are very similar.
Yeah.
There's not a big difference unless the brown sugar is a little bit more grainier and a little bit more like it has more of that smoky like note that some of them tend to have. And then maple is a little bit more syrupy sweet versus like even like the brown sugars I have, they're not sweet, they're more like tart for some reason. I don't know.
The way I see it with the brown sugar versus maple is you can definitely use brown sugar to replace maple in a recipe, but you cannot do it vice versa. Like you can't use maple where brown sugar should be, because maple will take over where brown sugar will fall back. So that's
well, you just burst my bubble, because I was just thinking like, oh, I'm gonna start using maple.
Well, maple will give you added sweetness that the brown sugar won't. So it depends on what the application is. Sometimes you would be able to do that, but the maple is going to come through as maple at the end of the day.
Right.
Where brown sugar can come through as maple, where maple can't come through as brown sugar. If that makes any sense.
Totally makes sense.
Okay, so it was Jen I was talking to, not Leilani.
Oh.
She literally said the same thing.
Well, there we go.
Yeah. So at least I know I'm not the only one that finds that the case, because I remember Sweet Dough to me reminding me a lot of a maple, not necessarily like what I would think a Sweet Dough is. So I used that. Plus, I figured it would thicken up the cookie base a little bit for like the Blondie part. Plus, from what it sounds like, there's brown sugar in the Blondie. I don't know. I've never really had a Blondie, and if I had, it's been a long time. But anyway, so the Sweet Dough I used in conjunction with the sugar cookie to make the Blondie type base. And then I added walnut because, I mean, there's walnuts all over it. So I figured I'd just throw it in there and hope that it marries well with the pecan, which it did. Because for butter pecan, I get a lot of the butteriness, not as much of the pecan note. I don't know if I'm just not sensitive to nuts. But I get more of like the buttery note than like the pecan part of it. But I don't know. It's really good. I didn't add ice cream because similar to Emily, I found that it kind of thinned everything else out and kind of just took away from the brownie part of it. So I figured the love would kind of add a little bit of creaminess to it. Plus, like with a dessert like that, you know, the ice cream is optional. You don't really necessarily always have to have ice cream with it. So I just didn't really put it in there. That's it. As Leilani.
Yeah, man, you add on too much stuff to a profile, and it dumbs down everything else, you know. So
yeah, I feel like the picture was so busy that in trying to, the reason I'm gonna have an excuse. I'm gonna come up with an excuse now why I use so many flavors. The picture, I'm trying to make it into a vape. Therefore, I'm trying to make all the layers, and they all require something different. So that's why I have so many flavors. Is that a good excuse?
absolutely.
We'll let me slide with that one, right?
Yeah, and you know, if you balance stuff right, it doesn't have to be a muddled mess. I just was losing my patience, and so I didn't have the talent. And I guess with the time constraint to balance it right. So I'm just like, okay, let's pare this down. Let's make what I do make really good and leave it at that.
Yeah, and that's where I guess I went with what I know how to use. That's exactly why I ended up with the nuts that I ended up with, using marzipan and using no, I didn't use almond. What did I use?
Pistachio.
And back to Rin's recipe, like butter. Back to Rin.
Get your novel out of here. You've had your time.
Yeah. Now with the butter pecan oud, I like that. And opposite of you, I get more of the pecan notes, like that kind of like tart, semi-crunchy pecan versus more of the butter notes in that. And I let it steep for about a week and a half, the butter pecan. And it's a nice flavor. So paired with the walnut super concentrate wonder flavors, I could see that working well together, because the walnut SC to me is very tart. It's not a full walnut, like that chalky walnut. It's a little bit thin. So I think that walnut would help enhance the nutty flavors that you're talking about. And with your love, people who haven't got, I forgot who turned me on to that love. Somebody had told me, because I'm like, I need more white chocolates. And somebody had told me, but that love is such a unique flavor. It's like a milky, creamy, almost like a half and half cream paired with like bits of white chocolate and vanilla. It's so good, and it's rich, and it has like a thick mouthfeel. In this recipe, you wouldn't have to add any other like vanilla ice cream flavors.
Yeah, I agree. She might have left out the vanilla ice cream, but she's got enough creams in there between the love and the butter pecan that it should be creamy enough. Leilani, remind me, what percentage did you use that flavor at?
For
me, I'm not as sensitive as Rin. I single flavor tested the love at 5%, but I felt as though I could take it all the way up to 7. because to me at 5%, it was still mild. And I tested it out for about 5.5 weeks. 5.5
You get like a unique texture to it. Like it's almost like a chalky, like when you eat like a white chocolate, it has that unique, almost granulated texture.
It has a, on the exhale, you definitely get like almost like a cake flavor, like a white cake flavor. Where is my notes?
Because I get like almost like that coating that you get from like the white chocolate when you eat it. It leaves that like film.
Yeah,
that's perfect. Like that's what you want out of a white chocolate flavor.
Right.
Always that like palate coating, like waxiness.
Yeah.
there is that. And the thing is with the love, there's also, what did I put in here? Hold on. With the love, here we go. A mellow and overall smooth, light cake like dryness on the exhale. Dairy cream married with hints of soft whipped butter, a light white chocolate, and a touch of vanilla. It has a medium rounded body with a smooth but light dry mouthfeel. So it also has that cake component for me also. So that's really interesting, but I only taste it on the exhale. And that cake flavor could be like, almost has like that frosting, maybe candy like that, maybe Rin's tasting, but it's so unique and it's so like, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? My vocabulary, help me, synonym dictionary. It's so complicated, that flavor, that it can work as so many different things depending upon what percentage you're using it at. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. Makes perfect sense.
So can someone like real quick run through the difference between Flavor West butter pecan and one-on-one butter pecan? Because I think they're both really good, but very different.
They are very different. I like the one-on-one better. Like Flavor West is very good. There's just something about the one-on-one that makes it better. I'd have to put them side by side, but I just prefer the one-on-one.
Yeah.
I don't even like most of
it. More buttery. Like it's more a creamy butter pecan, where one-on-one is a little bit crisper or a little bit darker, maybe. I don't know.
Darker might be, because I'm not a fan of the darker vapes, because like that's the issue I had with the caramel going back, like way back. I don't like the caramel notes either. Like a lot of the caramels give that burnt sugar thing. I don't like that either. That's why I don't like a lot of caramel, but I do like the caramel original. That's probably my favorite caramel that I can think of.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I like how a lot of you use sweet dough as part of your base. That's really that's cool. I like sweet dough.
Thick though. She thick.
Yeah, that.
I think this is probably the most flavor percentage I've seen Rin mixed with, and it actually looks like something. I mean, I don't have the so if I wanted to replace that, I don't think there's anything other than maybe the.
You could use Flavor West.
I was thinking about Flavor West, but then you guys just shot that down.
No, I mean you could use it because it's made to enhance. Like when I talk about the side by side, I'm talking about like just by itself, like nothing added to it. I definitely think the one-on-one can stand on its own, whereas like the Flavor West, there's just something lacking there. But I mean, you could try it if you don't have the ooh. You can try Flavor West.
Okay, I might do that because that looks really good. It looks.
Do you have the love though?
No, I don't have the love, but I mean, I can get the love.
Gotta get that love.
Get that love, girl. Get it.
Gotta get the love.
I got love handles. Does that count?
That always counts. Tie them in.
Okay, who do we have next? JJ?
I think Jennifer's hiding.
Jennifer Jarvis.
I thought I had a spider on me.
Oh my gosh.
That wouldn't be good live on camera.
Well, yeah, you'd see me jump up, probably throw some things over, scream maybe, and I don't do well with spiders on me. All right, I think I am the last person too today, right? No.
Oh no, we have Loonicorn.
She hasn't gone yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Just pulling up the recipe. I tried to go simple with this. I didn't want like an overly heavy brownie because I was going for what would I taste if I took a spoonful of this dessert. Because I can look at the whole thing and say, yeah, I can make that into, you know, this layer and that layer. But when I actually scoop into eating something, what do I taste? So I was doing that today with my my French toast breakfast that I had. And it's like what I would taste from this brownie would be a light cookie kind of blondie brownie base. So sugar cookie and TPA vanilla cupcake together. That forms the cookie part or the brownie part. The maple bar is there to kind of add to the cookie, but also add a maple note to the butterscotch topping. Just lightly, so it kind of bridges the two, the topping and the cookie. And what I'd mostly get from this would be vanilla ice cream. So I used Flavor Arts vanilla gelato, even though it's in there as vanilla ice cream. I don't know. And the walnut, because I don't really care for any walnuts that are on the market. What I used to use was Fairy's Finest black walnut. I don't think you can find that anymore. That was my favorite walnut. It was nice. It was soft. It was definitely a good candied black walnut kind of flavor like you'd get in a lollipop. That was like a black walnut kind of note to it. But since I don't have that anymore, I used Flavor Art Tyrone because it's creamy and it's got that richness of the walnut kind of flavor to it without that bitter walnut note that pistachio and walnut to me seem to have pretty heavily of every company's. I don't really care for any pistachio or walnut. And a little bit of white chocolate just for white chocolate chips. That was it.
Well,
Again, with the maple bar. Genius. I'm kicking myself for not using it.
I forgot I even had that flavor.
Wow.
They just got it.
I need to get this darn flavor. Everybody's using maple bar. What's so good about it? What's good?
I
has
almost
a-
used Flavor Art Maple, but it was a little bit brighter than what I wanted. Flavor's maple bar is just a little bit darker of a maple note, and it's almost like fake maple.
It's
Yeah,
it's
like
definitely
a
the
waxy
frosting on the donut. It's like that. It's definitely the maple frosting on the donut.
Yeah.
and I really like that Flavor Rest butterscotch ripple for the creamy effect.
The
That was-
topping. Yeah.
Mhm.
That was kind of the topping with a bit of the maple note, and just kind of what would you taste if you just took a mouthful of that? You're going to taste mostly ice cream with the little bit of drizzle topping and the cookie base, and maybe a couple bits of nuts and a white chocolate chip. You know, you're not going to get a ton in your mouth. So
No, I totally get that. And you're not, and with that thick of a dessert, I mean, you're gonna slice down
you're
on
going
it.
to scoop, and you're going to get a little bit of everything together.
That's true.
And I wanted to show this off.
That one looks interesting.
Kind of looked like lava to me, like a lava flow.
Oh, I like that one.
Looks like something else to me, but
Yeah, I think I'm wondering.
It could look like a mushroom cloud from a
Oh,
a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, it
Or-
does
or
look like a little
possibly
mushroom top.
A little
I guess
mushroom.
so.
Thanks, James.
kind of looks like the pipe from like Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, looks good.
It's my kind of
But-
color too.
I wanted to propose a little giveaway. My husband is going to make another one of these, and I can give it away to somebody.
Yeah,
But
good.
we need to do something for this because you're not going to get something for free. So I need a recipe. I need somebody to give me a recipe for next week, and we will do a giveaway for a drip tip next week.
Sounds
Sounds
awesome. Yes. Okay, so we'll go over. Here's what we'll do. We'll go over Loonicorn's recipe from the maple nut blondie or whatever she saw the picture as, and then we'll do a sneak peek of next week's picture, and then they can get to work on the recipe. How's that sound?
Is there any
think that sounds good.
stipulations for this giveaway?
U.S. space.
Yeah.
I think we all Vixens need to agree on the winning recipe.
And how
We
about
need to look
shipping?
at 'em. And I will ship. No issues.
Okay.
I'll ship anywhere.
Okay.
Okay. But before I always have a question with everybody's recipe because I'm always watching and taking notes so I can become better and beat all of you eventually. Now, the butterscotch ripple flavor West, I've never had it. I've heard things.
What?
No, I haven't had it.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Oh, tell me what's good about
I can't vape it.
Yeah, it's that good. JJ can't vape it. It's so
it.
good.
Really, is that good?
It's so good.
It's buttery, it's rich, it's just butterscotch.
It's like the butterscotch ribbons in a butterscotch ripple ice cream.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
Oh my god.
It's like if you get, do you have regular flavor West butterscotch?
I do.
Okay, well this one is creamier, milkier. It's got the same level of sweetness. It's more like they took that butterscotch and turned it into an ice cream.
Yeah.
Lies.
yeah, because it's very similar to the butterscotch and flavor West, like Jen said, but milkier and creamier, like an ice cream. It's really good.
I need this in my
Not on
life.
the caramel side, it's on the creamy ice cream side.
Yeah. It's smoother and creamier, not like candy.
Oh.
But it's like having that rich butterscotch layer of gooey goodness in your butterscotch ice cream.
Oh, I need this. What's happening?
Yeah, you
My
need to
flavor
know.
list. Oh. So that's what's helping out also with your vanilla ice cream.
Yep. Oh yeah, because it's full of DAP.
Yeah, oh, this is DAP heaven. Thank you, Jarvis. I need this. Oh,
Gotta love them dykes.
that's right.
All right.
We're gonna bring that back, Emily. We're not gonna we're gonna stop calling it what's the new word for it?
DAP.
DAP?
DAAP.
DAAP.
Acetone and acetylpyrazine. No, acetylpropanol.
Acetyl-propanol. Very good.
I know people don't get that joke now because you used to be called, like, people would just call it dikes or diketones, and they stopped apparently because they're culturally sensitive or something. But I still use it. It's still funny, gosh darn it. All right. Loonicorn, would you like to share us your process of trying to come up with a recipe in a week and how you did and then what you came up with?
Sure. So usually when I don't have a clue what I'm doing with a profile, or it's not something that I'm familiar with mixing, the first thing I do is start Googling recipes and actually like cooking recipes. So I base mine basically on the first probably 5 or 6 links that popped up when I think I Googled maple nut blondie or something like that. And like the first 5 or 6.
Wait a second. I got to throw my hands up. She's got 10. She's got 10 ingredients, guys.
I do. Yeah. And this is a problem, I think, for me. It worked out pretty good this time. But sometimes when I use that approach of looking at a cooking recipe rather, that's what I end up with. I end up, pretty soon I'm like, okay, I've got 12 ingredients here. This is getting ridiculous now. If I want to represent every single thing, I'm literally following it like a recipe. So I did end up with 10. In this case, but what kept coming up was apparently Applebee's has a dessert that they serve that is a maple walnut blondie. Now I didn't have walnuts, so I had to go with pecans, like a lot of you girls did. So kind of, again, just looking at this as a cooking recipe. I obviously needed to establish the cake cookie base. And for that, I used FA cookie. And honestly, the only reason that I chose FA over cap sugar cookie is because I've never used it before. I've had it for all this time and I've been wanting to try it in something, and I had never used it before. And I've gotten the impression from reading other people's notes on it, etc., that it's more of a darker kind of crisp cookie. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Pepperidge Farms Bordeaux cookies. Those things are delicious. If you're not, you should try them sometime. But so I wanted a little bit of a darker cookie, not a light sugar cookie. And then I used Jungle Flavors Yellow Cake. And I wanted to get a little bit of gooiness in there too. So I threw in just a little bit of cake batter. So that was basically the cookie part of the base. And then I kind of, like a couple other people did, I did use Flavora's Maple Bar as kind of a bridge.
Solid choice.
Yeah. So that it gave me some, cakey cookie component. But then I also wanted the maple topping. And then in addition to that, FA's maple syrup. And at this point, we're getting up there already, but wanted to really definitely have a brown sugar note again. This is like following a cookie recipe. So I included straight up brown sugar, included butter, wanted to get those flavor notes in there. And then for my the nut component, I used butter pecan. And I went with pralines and cream also. Again, this is kind of a bridge. I skipped doing the ice cream because I already had too many ingredients. I knew that if I tried to make an ice cream in addition to a cookie with nuts, with a maple topping, it was going to get crazy and muddled and gross, and it wouldn't have turned out well. So I was hoping the cream would add the pralines and cream. The cream part of that would add sort of a bridge and keep it from being too dry. And then same with the shisha vanilla, because vanilla is also in a traditional Blondie recipe, and shisha vanilla specifically has a little bit of that creaminess. And a lot of times when I try to do a cream with a bakery or a bakery with an ice cream topping, I end up using so much cream that the bakery gets lost and it ends up tasting like ice cream with tiny little bits of bakery in it. And I wanted to avoid that too. So what else can I tell you? That is about it. It turned out it's only 18 hours old right now. Oh, I should tell you why I named it Exploded. Just because it's funny. Hold on, I'm getting lost on my, here we go. Okay, I'm not lost anymore. So I call it Exploded because I'm always trying to come up with creative names. I don't like to name my recipes after what they are. And that's something that I kind of picked up in Mixers Club. Concrete River and ID10T are both really creative.
They're great with that.
Writing. They have stories that go with everything. And so I've kind of gotten into that. So it ended up being Exploded. This was basically a word association that brought me here. So I'm thinking Blondie. And then you guys have been talking about, guys putting up like boob pictures and stuff like that and trying to make vape juices up. So I thought blonde bombshell. Okay. So then bombshell. and I'll have you know that while I was mixing this, I sang the song "You Dropped a Bomb on Me" the entire time I was mixing.
Yes, I do that too.
Just to make it more authentic. And then every time I think of a bomb exploding or the word explosion, I think of, there was a King of the Hill recipe where Hank took this little guy that was struggling with his classwork and needed to do a special project to bring his grade up. So he does this big propane research thing with Hank Hill and writes this this essay that's just awful at the end of it, and like doesn't even use the right words. He calls it propene, and it's real silly. And the very last line of of his essay is, "And I thank God every day that I didn't get exploded." So that's why I called it Exploded.
You know, I'm horrible with naming things. Like they're just simple and obvious, and like just like that. I named mine Maple Nut Blondie. So like I always try to get Rick or Dave or somebody else to name things for me when it really matters, because I'm like, I have no creativity when it comes to that. I love your story and how you came up with Exploded.
Thank you. I always have a story.
It looks good. Now, I've never used Pralines and Cream by Flavor West before. Is that is it have the pecan note similar to Flavor West Butter Pecan?
Let's see. The only other recipe, and again, I don't single flavor test, so it's really hard to say. I can't remember who released a recipe. It was around Christmas time, but it was a pralines and cream recipe. And that's why I ordered it. And so I've had it in that. And then I think I added it to another recipe I wanted more support. I didn't think the butter pecan was enough of the nut. I wanted the pralines and cream to support the nut, but I also wanted that cream component, because I was afraid if I didn't use any cream at all and I didn't use any kind of creamy vanilla, that it just would have been a dry, crumbly mess.
And I really love. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, have you tried the TPA version of pralines and cream? I wanted to see if you've compared the two and how they compare.
I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
I
didn't know there was a pralines and cream flavor until somebody released that pralines and cream recipe on Reddit back around Christmas time. I didn't. As soon as I saw there was, I was like, oh, I got to try that. So I didn't even realize TFA had one. I will have to try it.
That's the one I have, but I haven't actually played with it yet. So I was curious on if they would.
It's very nice.
Work as a sub or not.
I don't know. I don't have the Flavor West one, so I couldn't help you with the answer either.
For being a version 1, and it is about 18 hours old, I'm actually really happy with it. And I debated making whether I should make 30 milliliters or 10 milliliters. And finally, I decided that I should do 10, because it could have been a complete disaster, especially with a profile I've never worked with.
You don't want to hate too much.
Almost all of those flavors that are in the recipe, like I've never used any of them. And I think there's 3 flavors, maybe 4 flavors that I've used before. All of the rest of them were brand new flavors that I'd never even mixed with before. So I was like, I better do 10.
Nice.
And 10 mils and see. And I wish that I had done 30, because it definitely needs time to develop. And I see what you girls were talking about with a little bit of a astringent note that I'm guessing may be coming from the maple bar. And I'm excited to learn that the maple will develop more over time, though what that may mean is that it needs to be cut down in future versions of it. But I'm actually really happy with the way it turned out, for being 10 ingredients thrown together at the last minute and me not having a clue what the hell I was doing. It's really tasty, and I totally could have vaped a 30 of this and been perfectly happy. Yes.
I love how you use cake batter in it to kind of get that gooey, center of the Blondie. That's a really good idea, and that's a really good flavor that I find is underrated. It's one of those polarizing flavors. A lot of people either hate it or they love it.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. It's your go. I just talk a lot.
Me too.
I was gonna say that the cake batter is an oldie, and I think a lot of people overvaped it a while ago. So
that makes sense.
I really like to use it when I'm wanting, I like my cake, cookie, brownie type, those types of recipes that's not that's not a straight cake or a straight cookie, but something in between. I like for them to have just kind of a, I don't know, a raw component. Like it's not, you know, it is cooked all the way through, but there's just that gooey softness in the center. And I've had success with using cake batter in that specific application before. So that's why I threw it in there.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you also for doing a recipe. That definitely was not a stipulation, but it's a lot of fun when you do. So it was really cool to see what you came up with.
And Loonicorn, is this your first recipe in a long time where you have not used ginger?
Actually, it really is because
Really?
Yeah. So we have themes and mixers club, and Dave strongly encourages me in my ginger usage. And there's another mixer in Mixers Club, Lime Drive. He likes ginger too. So yeah, I like run with it because I know that they'll, you know, they won't mind. Now, other people in Mixers Club are like, God, I wish he'd quit using ginger.
No, use what you like, darn it. You know what I was thinking? I was like, what if Loonicorn made like a gingerbread Blondie?
Yeah, I'm thinking that's sounding some good. Throw some gingerbread.
That actually does, yeah.
Girl, make your version too.
Yeah,
I want to see.
That sounds yummy. Okay, I'll make that. I'll work on that one.
It's gonna be awesome. But this one looks really, really good, and I'm very happy that you bit the bullet with this recipe and just went ham. You just went in. You were like, Bunkin, let's add this, and it tastes good. So that's really
it worked. Sometimes that doesn't work. I've had a few times when I've tried to, like, I still cannot make a peach cobbler to save my life. Or the other one I've tried by like following a recipe, a cooking recipe, is a tiramisu, and both just complete disasters. So I was really glad it worked out this time. Yeah.
I'm happy for you. Thank you for your participation. It looks really nice.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on. It was a blast.
It was great, and we'd love to have you on again sometime if you're up for it.
Well, absolutely. I was talking to Emily a few days ago, and I told her the reason that one of the reasons I like this show so much is I feel like, especially like in Reddit and in the world at large, I feel like female mixers are vastly underrepresented. I mean, it seems like all the people that are chiming in, it's always guys. And when I first heard about the show, I was so excited. It's like, yes, girl power. So yeah, I would love to be a guest on anytime you'd like, and really appreciate being here and meeting some other lady mixers. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think lady mixers are underrated for sure. I think you guys don't know how many of us we actually are. So got a lot of talented ladies in the community.
They're just not as forward as we are.
So what do you say? I think that does it for all the recipes. So let's show a sneak peek of next week's profile pic. And that way, if you guys want to enter the giveaway, should we do a post on the Facebook group that they post their recipes?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can start a post for that.
Yeah, so if anyone has, so the next week it's a cream puff, it's a puff pastry with cream in it.
I should be able to manage 3 to 5 flavors on that.
I think this is going to be really challenging. I've been trying to think of this, how to get that puff pastry texture. So it'll be really neat. I'm glad that Jen's doing a giveaway for this one, because it'll be really neat to see what you all come up with. I have some ideas brewing in my head. I'm not gonna share them, but
I'm not sharing mine either.
Ditto.
I broke into this test stuff.
I know.
These are so good.
Let me tell you, my diet is killing me with these stupid recipes. And let me tell you one more thing, because I haven't said anything about this. This is not good, ladies. Just because it only has 2 grams of carbs does not mean you should buy it. It sucks.
What is it?
It's spiked water, I guess. It's 5% alcohol. It's supposed to be a beer, but it tastes like, it's supposed to be like I've been drinking my water stuff. I can't even remember the darn name because now I got Truly on mine.
Just get the ice drinks, like the Cascade ice drinks, and then add alcohol to those. It's so much better.
I'm going to have to because this is not good. And it said pomegranate. And you know what it tastes like? It tastes like Flavor Art pomegranate in my mouth. Like swirl of it and everything fresh without steep. Yeah, that.
I saw your LaCroix post the other day. That stuff is not good. I don't know why people...
I love LaCroix. That's why I bought this, because I figured it would be similar to LaCroix. No.
I don't like it. It's not great.
I'd
rather have the Cascade Ice. So much more flavor and no calories, none of that sugar shit in it either. So I do that, and then I put whatever liquor I want in it, and it's great.
I love LaCroix. Coconut for the win.
They have a coconut and pineapple one that you might like.
I'll try it.
I don't like it because I don't really like coconut that much, though. So.
All right, guys. So pastry puff.
Yep.
Simple enough, right? A little bit of sweetness in the middle.
I pasted the link to our Facebook group in chat. JJ will do a post for that you guys can submit your entries. And Alicia, you want to get us out of here?
Sure. I haven't been here in a while. It's been a few weeks, and I don't have my cheat sheet. But yeah, all right.
I thought you knew it by heart.
Wing it, girl.
Good.
Good enough. I'll get it. All right. I wanted to say, shout out to our sponsors, Flavora and Bull City, and all the flavors for helping us out, hooking us up with flavors, and of course all the flavors account so that you guys have easy access to all the recipes we make, which I believe we have all now at this point put all of our recipes there, so that are related to the show. So if you are having trouble finding a specific one that you're looking for, hop on there, you'll find it. Let's see what else on our Facebook page. Be sure to post your flavor profiles you want us to mix. We're going to be doing a new one soon if we haven't already, to kind of have a new blank slate. So kind of please wait until we post that one, because I'm going to lock down this other one, the old one that's like super long and months old.
I think we have a new one. Leilani put it up.
Oh, good. All right. I haven't been paying attention, so I've been kind of busy. But yeah, so use the new one, and we'll get flavors picked from that. And also, if you decide to mix up one of the recipes and try to make a better version, be sure to hashtag it with MIXINVIXENS. Maybe even link it on the Facebook page so we see it a little bit easier, so we don't have to kind of search around. Be sure to definitely do that if you want to win an awesome drip tip from Jarvis. So we want to make sure that got a pool of people. So we'll mix up whatever you guys end up making when we have time, and we'll probably do a shout out if it's really good. If it's garbage, we're not going to rip into it. Don't worry. We're not mean. We're not cruel.
We can be, but we won't do it on camera.
Yeah, we'll just do that to each other because, we know we can handle it. What else? I'm going to be making some more of the stickers and stuff soon. So we'll start probably doing those as some giveaways as well. So I just thought I'd throw that out there because I actually have time to do those again. So if anybody wants to do that, I'll probably see about doing that next week when Jarvis does hers too. Get extra stuff. And that, check us out on all the flavors on eLiquid recipes. The one-shot lines are everywhere, and you guys know it's all in the description.
Yeah, in the description below, you can find out links to support us.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
also, don't forget to like and subscribe to Mixin.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button, baby.
And invite a friend. Bring somebody with you next time.
Do it.
We're here for you guys, so supporting us supports you.
That's right.
All right. Does anyone else have anything they want to say?
No, we love you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.